Yo guys, what is good and welcome back on the channel. Now in today's video I'm going to review Melody Mastery, which is the new production suite from KXVI, and I'm going to talk about the pricing of the kit. Then I'm going to show you the kits that are included and demo you a few of the sounds. After that I'm going to show you the production calls that you get with the kit and what to expect from that. And then I'm going to break down 3 loops I cooked up last night using this kit and just share a little bit of my thoughts about the kit with you all, what I like and what I don't like. And right after that I'm going to sum it all up and give you all the reasons you should get the kit or reasons that you maybe shouldn't get the kit and what I think this kit misses. And in the end I'm going to give you a recommendation whether or not you are in the target audience for this kit and if you should actually get it. Now if you're just interested on my final thoughts and if I recommend this kit, then you can just use the chapters I provided down below to skip ahead in the video and get to the part that you want to see. Now with that being said, let's jump straight into it. Now before I show you the pricing and the general overview of the kit, I just want to let you know that I personally didn't pay for this kit myself. I reached out to KXVI, asked them to send over a review copy of this kit, because as you guys can imagine it's super expensive to get all of these production suits all the time. So you know, I asked them to do me the favor and send this kit over for review. I'm still going to give you my 100% honest opinion and I'm still going to share the things that I didn't like about this kit, which there are a few of these that you have to keep in mind. But now let's finally get into it. Alright, so this is what the sales page is looking like. Melody Mastery, everything you need to make better melodies. I'm just going to scroll through this real quick. It has a bunch of different kits. I'm going to talk about this in the next section. And it also comes with this production course that we are also going to talk about later. And then down here you see like the full pricing. And as of right now, the price is $97 for the first 200 people that get this kit. So by the time you're watching this video, these probably have sold out. And by then it's gonna skip up to the price of $167 that are all the big production suits on Sonics.audio. So this is the price I'm gonna keep in mind when I talk about pricing and value of the kit. You should also keep in mind that these kits usually go on sale pretty regularly, so Sonics always has like at least 20-30% off coupons every few months. Now once you downloaded all the folders and extracted them, this is what they look like in your DAW. So first up we have the Melody God Loop Kit, which contains over 100 loops that are categorized into emotional, hard and soulful. And emotionally basically stands for R&B, so I'm just gonna play you a few of them. Please don't give up on me. Baby, are we okay? Been feeling something in my gut all day. I know I messed up real bad. Tell me, baby, is your heart still with me? Cause you been sneaking, playing games on the low key. Then hard is basically trap loops, so you know, just some more aggressive modern trap sounds. And then the soulful loops are more like soul, old school, vintage kind of loops, so this is what they sound like. More like real vinyls or, you know, real samples in that sense. As you see, you have all the stems provided, and he also put in bass MIDI, so if you import a loop, you can also drag in the fitting bass MIDI, and you're instantly gonna have your bass notes that you can use to make an 808 pattern. That's basically 100% guaranteed to be not out of key, so that's also just stuff that makes it a little bit easier to work with this kit. Then we have the Melodic Magic Phrase Kit, which are basically phrases and starters that are not full loops, but you know, starters are what you start a loop out of. Check out my last video if you want to see how to work off of starters. And then phrases are like more like little accents or like top lines that you can add, maybe on top of a starter, maybe on top of a chord progression that you already have. I'm just gonna play a few of them now. And something that's new inside the KXVI kits are the pedal and synth folders. At least they were way smaller back in the day. So there's also pedal phrases and stuff in here. Now, if you don't know, KV works with session musicians to record basically all of the live instruments live, and also most of the synth sounds should be recorded inside like the real synth and not inside the VST. So all these sounds have more authenticity than, you know, just playing the same MIDI inside a VST. The third kit we have is the Melody Mastery Vocal Kit, and when I opened this up for the first time, I was really happy to see that all the loops were not just named, you know, loop 1, loop 2, loop 3, as it was in many of the previous kits from him, but they actually had like the phrase or, you know, the sound that the singer is singing inside the name, which is something that I criticized last time we reviewed Vintage Essentials.
I'm just too ashamed of how I did you wrong. I need you. Whoa. Hey, only yours.
Yeah, 420 emotional vocal chops is a crazy number.
I know I pretended.
All of these sounds are pretty raw, so you might have to process them a little bit to actually sound good. So throwing on some compressors, reverb, EQ probably, just to make them fit inside the composition. Now the fourth part we have is the Sonic Mastery Analog Lab Bank, and it has 60 presets that range from basses to keys to leads to pads to, you know, some pedal sounds and stuff. And the great thing with Analog Lab preset banks in general is that you can just download Analog Lab Intro, which is 100% free, and you can still use all these preset banks, so in case you don't have the full version of Analog Lab, you can still utilize this bank. Next kit is called Melodic Snapshots and is a one-shot kit. So first of all, we have some ear candy, which is probably my favorite folder of the entire thing, and these are just like accents, ear candy. Just super cool, just throw them onto melody at certain parts and it's gonna sound 10 times better already. Also some melodic soundscapes that you can just, you know, layer in the background of melody to fill out, you know, this emptiness that sometimes is there. And the rest is just some standard one-shots, so, you know, bass, keys, leads, some live instruments, pads, and some sounds. Right, bear with me, it's just 2 more kits to go. The 6th kit is Harmony Cheat Codes, which is a MIDI kit and it contains 3 folders. So first of all, we have just, you know, some basic chords. So you can use them to build more complex chords than, you know, the standard major or minor chords. Also, it has some nice chord progressions, so these are already like full chord progressions that you can use. Some have some top melody and stuff too already. And these are also organized by genres, so, you know, with aggressive trap, anthem trap, dark trap, R&B, gospel, soul. And then you have top line MIDIs as well that you can just, you know, layer on top of, let's say, a chord progression that you made or that someone else made, and, you know, just use these as melodies. Also a ton of sounds. And the last kit is the Melodic Motion Perc Loops and Drum Break. And right off the bat I can tell you this was the part that disappointed me the most, because it contains like a few live drum breaks. So these are just like, you know, live played in drums, and also some drum fills. We'll put these at the end of, let's say, 8 bars together with like another drum break and use them as a transition into the next part. And there's also some percussion loops, but as you can see, it's really not a lot of variation, not a lot of sounds. And when I was cooking up, I found myself not finding exactly what I was looking for inside this folder. But yeah, anyways, that's how far the main kit goes. There's also a bonus folder that contains 3 PDFs. One for KXVI's go-to FX plugins, one for his VST instruments for sample making, and then another one for, you know, just a few tips that you can use to make more fine melodies. And all of this is also getting covered inside the production course, so this is what we're gonna look at next. Now, to be completely honest, I didn't have the time to watch the whole thing, but this time I actually watched a good portion of the course. It says 37% right here, but I believe I definitely watched more, and I at least skipped through each of the individual sections in here. So the whole course is condensed down into different lessons that have a few videos each. So the first one is the intro to melody mastery, which is just like the introduction to the general course, and KV given some advice on how he would approach starting to make melodies if he was, you know, just starting out. There's the whole chapter of how to use melody mastery. In here, he's gonna give you really like detailed overview on how to use the different kind of sounds of phrases and vocals and MIDI and all that stuff. And then he's giving a really basic course on music theory. Nothing that taught me a lot really, but I played the keys for almost 10 years now, so I know quite a bit about music theory. But if you're just a beginner and you know no shit about anything, this course can definitely help you out. It has just some basic, simple fundamentals explained, but explained them in a really good way. Next up is sound selection, so what VSTs to use, and then for trap, R&B and soul, he also gives some advice on go-to instrument combinations, and he just gives some good advice on how to work with different sounds and what sounds to actually combine. After that, he talks about his go-to FX plugins and the top mistakes that you see people making when they mix their melodies. And he also just mixes the melodies from scratch so you can get like the actual experience. Then there is these 4 guest lessons, which I hadn't had time to watch any of them even halfway through, but I skipped into every single one of them, and I must say I like the format. It's a little bit more rough than his videos, of course, because most of these people are not like really trained to sit in front of a camera and talk about the music, but he did it in a interview format. So he was with them on Discord and they broke down their melodies while he was asking them questions about the process, about, you know, what they were thinking when they did certain things. And this gave some really cool insight on how these industry producers really work. So I quite like this, but for me personally, it wouldn't be the selling point of this course. Then, of course, he breaks down 3 loops, so, you know, 1 trap loop, 1 R&B loop, and 1 soul loop. And in the end, he also talks about how to, you know, arrange your melodies, how to export them out, and just, you know, some basics that if you're doing melodies for quite a long time, you already know all of this. But if you're actually getting into making melodies, then this is some really good advice that you should definitely follow. And overall, I quite like the course. There's nothing in here that you couldn't get on YouTube in various videos probably, except maybe for the guest lessons, of course. But still, I think KV does a great job with, you know, just talking to the camera in a enjoyable way, like making it easy to follow him along and stuff. And even though these videos are not heavily edited on nothing, it's still fun and enjoyable to watch them. At least that's what I found. Now, with all of this out of the way, I just want to show you the 3 loops I did with Melody Mastery so far. I cooked them up all last night, and I didn't really had anything in mind than, you know, just trying out the kit and seeing how it works. So I started off with this, you know, bell phrase, and I processed a little bit, added a little bit of cymatics illusion, which, you know, adds these grains, and also a little bit of reverb. So this is what it sounds like without processing. Still pretty fire, and then with the effects on. And then I went on and added this crazy synth bass. And for this sound, I used the analog lab bank. And I actually layered 2 sounds together. So instead of taking 1 sound, I actually layered the 3-point preset and the Cali preset together. So this is what that sounds like. And then I just added this accent, just the basic siren. And because there was, just some empty space inside the melody, I also felt the need to add this pad. So this is just a one-shot from the one-shot kit with some EQ, some halftime and some reverb. For the B section I used the analog lap bank again and added this plug because to be honest, I didn't really know what to come up with for, a B section, so I just added this. For the B section I also deleted the bass and halftime the bell sound once again. It really has a lot of space for drums and also for an artist to get over this. Starter for this loop was the pedal phrase, which, just sounds crazy. I also layered the bass shot underneath, which is one of the one-shots from the kit, and I then layered it with a really shorter plucky bass shot also from the one-shot kit, just to give it a little bit more attack at the beginning. So together they sound like this. And this also helps with this, glide up at the end, because without the bass with a lot of attack this would have sounded like nothing really. And then I found this super cool soundscape that just filled up the complete emptiness around the pedal phrase with, just some standard sounding pad kind of sound. And then I also added in this accent, just to spice up the melody a little bit more. Then for a B section I took out the bass and added this synth that's just playing on every one. It's also one shot. And then I also used one of the accent phrases from Virtuoso, which is from Prod by Jax, The Essence of Trap. Compared to that kit, Melody Mastery really lacks some accents and some shorter phrases, because a lot of the phrases in here, they are really great, but they're always super long. They're almost like full 8-bar loops as well. So you really don't have that many of these short phrases that you can just add and it just spice up things, really accents. So here's the B part. And then for the third loop, I tried to make something completely different, and I started off with a MIDI file. Man, that's just beautiful. I really like that. It just sounds so real and natural, and that's because the MIDI is, as you can see, it's really played in. It's not perfectly on time, nowhere. And yeah, from there I also tried out the vocal kit and added this vocal phrase. You're the only one. Ooh, you're the only one of the sun. And at this moment the whole kit had me sold, because I just dragged in a random chord progression MIDI file and it sounded fire, and put it on the piano, and I just dragged a random vocal loop that was in the same key, a little bit of compression, a little bit of reverb, and I played them together and they just fit together. They just sound right. You're the only one. Ooh, you're the only one of the sun. This is what these kits are supposed to be like, just easy to use, drag and drop, and the stuff actually fits together. From there I added in a percussion loop and some cymbals from Vintage Essentials, because as you might have noticed, Melody Master don't have a drum kit, so I had to use some other sounds for this. And then for a B section I added this soul saxophone phrases. Also some reverb on there. Also added in one of the drum loops. And used Vintage Essentials again for this drum break, so this is not from Melody Mastery. So here's what this section sounds like.
You're the only one under the sun that can make me.
And then for the last section, I wanted to have something that's a little bit more calm. So I took away the whole vocals, the whole drums. And yeah, let me just play the section and I'm gonna explain it. I used a bass phrase for this, and I'm not the biggest fan of, bass phrases, because as you can see, I had to chop this up and, I had to pitch correct in order to get the right key for the bass and the melody. It was just quite a hustle to get it sounding right. And then I also added in this organ sound, which is not from Melody Mastery. I just, took a random sound, added a bunch of reverb inside the Analog Lab plugin, and just came up with this interesting accent progression on my keyboard, because I did these loops on my laptop. Really just to add some background texture and to fill up the sample a bit more. And again, I'm not the guy to make stall samples, and I know that this doesn't sound as good as, let's say, a KV sample would sound like, but it was super easy for me to pull this off. So, you could perfect this and maybe put like 1 hour more into this and it would have a crazy result that really would sound like a vintage sample. Now, with all this being said, I think it's time to come to a conclusion, so to say, and to talk about my personal opinion. And this is my personal opinion, your mileage might vary, but I'm still gonna give you a recommendation. And first of all, let's talk about the stuff that I liked about this kit. The sounds are high quality, and I like that. And I didn't expect other from KV, because I purchased kits from him in the past, and I know he does this stuff really well, but still, the sounds are good. Way better than 80% of the kit market out there. Also, the production course, super high value. Even me, who isn't a fan of production courses, actually enjoyed watching it, and I'm probably gonna watch it to the end when I have a little bit more time. It just adds a ton of value, even more if you're more of a beginner and just, getting into music production or just getting into making melodies and you only did drums before. Also, this kit is super flexible. So in the past, KV did production suites based off of genres. So he did elements of R&B, which is focused around R&B. He did elements of trap, which was focused around trap. He did elements of soul, which was focused around soul. And he did Vintage Essentials, his most recent project before this, that was also focused around soul. In here, he combines all these three genres, R&B, trap, and soul, and gives you access to less sound per genre, but to every genre without buying, every single production suite. But besides all these positives, I also have some critique about this kit. And my main critique being that there is no real focus. Because when I first heard about Melody Mastery, I was pretty excited, to be honest, because KV already did these big production suites that had like everything you needed for one genre, drums, melodies, phrases, MIDI, chords, everything you need to make one genre, trap, R&B, soul, whatever it is. With Melody Mastery, I imagined that he would do a kit that doesn't have a drum kit, that doesn't have a loop kit, but that's really just focused on the creation of melodies. And I think he missed somewhat the point of this by including the loop kit, which, don't get me wrong, as said, I really like the loop kit. It has super high quality sounds. But if I'm someone who's looking into making my own loops, there's really no need to have 130 loops sitting there in all these genres that sound 10 times better than everything I'm probably going to do, even with a kit like this. Putting more focus and emphasis on all the other kits, so including some more phrases, maybe making 100 sound analog lab bank instead of 60, because to be honest, the 60 sounds are all really good, but if you're looking only for the trap sounds, there is like 20 to 30 sounds that you probably won't use that much, with the focus not being on genre, nor really being on synths, nor really being on like the melody aspect, mostly on the melody aspect, but not fully. I felt like the focus of the kit was missing, and this continues when you see that the kit has less sounds than elements of R&B or Vintage Essentials. So if I'm really into making vintage sounds, there's no real reason for me to buy this kit, because It stretches itself between these three genres. It's not really made only for melodies, but it's also not really made to fit everything because it has a drum kit and the general drum section is super small. And coming from this, I want to address something that necessarily doesn't even have to do super much with melody mastery in specific, but with the whole economics of producers and sound kits and production suites in general. There has to be innovation happening. Because at the moment, people just make the same kit over and over again. You know, there is like the different styles from KV and J Cactus and Cymatics and you name all of these big names that do their production suites. The only thing that they really do is they make the same kit just focused on a different genre of more sounds. Bring out a kit like this anywhere between every 2 weeks in the case of Cymatics to twice to 3 times a year in the case of KV. And for me, it feels like this concept is already dead. Most of the things have already been done. It's getting harder to always make just, you know, more sounds to include more shit. And it also isn't as helpful because 1 or 2 years ago when the whole production suite thing really just kicked off, production suites were of amazing value. You basically had everything you needed to make one genre of music or, you know, to make beats essentially. And when you paid like 30 euros for Loopkit or drum kit, paying 50 euros and getting a loop kit, a drum kit, phrases, one-shots and MIDI as well, it was just a no-brainer. It was great. But nowadays I feel like there has to be some innovation in the whole production suites market. And melody mastery goes in the right direction by being kind of focused. And I think that's also the future of, you know, production suites being even more niche down, rather than making a production suite about trap, make a production suite about super trap. But still I think melody mastery loses a little bit of its purpose on its way to do so, and I don't really know what's the focus. Synths, melodies, multi-genre kit, it's a little bit hard to get the gist of it. But really I think I'm sounding way more negative than I want to sound. It's just some kind of issue that I see in the production world in general. With all the producers, with all the kit makers, the first one who does a kit that's really different, that sets itself apart, maybe by adding in a VST plugin, maybe by, I don't know, including something that nobody else did so far, is really going to set himself apart and be ahead of the competition by now. But that's just my 2 cents. So let's finally get into the target audience for this kit. And I think the main audience for this is really drum makers that want to step up their melody game, that either want to have a crazy loop kit and throw some drums on it while having the ability to have phrases and one-shots and all that stuff. Also, you can use this kit as advanced loop maker. If you already own elements of trap, elements of R&B, vintage essentials, something like this, and you're just looking for new sounds, new real instruments, new phrases, then you can also use this kit because it still has hundreds of phrases, hundreds of sounds, thousands of sounds even. So it's just like a new preset bank, a new refresh for what sounds you can use. And also, not trying to be disrespectful right here, but I call them production course people. If you enjoy watching production courses, you know, you're a beginner and you want to skip a lot of the YouTube tutorial watching and, you know, getting to know stuff, and you want to have some really condensed knowledge in one point, the production course might also be the reason for getting this kit. As well as, of course, just from there having access to all of these sounds as well. It's just a really good package for these kinds of people. What you gotta keep in mind is that this only really applies to you if you're a multi-genre producer. So if you're not really sure if you want to make trap or R&B or soul. If you're making trap beats, for example, I would 100% recommend you get elements of trap. And if you like that, then you can think about, you know, getting melody mastery maybe. But if you're not in the market for, you know, this multi-genre thing, it doesn't really make sense to get this kit rather than one of the others. So just keep it in mind when you make your purchase decision. It's not that this kit is bad, it's just that KV already did better packs for the individual genres. Now, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video to this point. Thanks again to KV for, you know, sending over the kit. So now, have a blessed day. See you in the next video. Bye.